I did not.
Minister, have you met with any of the homeowners or potential homeowners who have been impacted by the collapse of Privium?
No, I have not.
Are you aware of how many home buyers, how many customers in New South Wales have potentially lost their deposits, their life savings for many of them, because of the collapse of Privium?
Mr. Shoebridge, I understand that as at the 11th of February, that there are 145 open Privium jobs with incomplete builds.
All right, and what have you done to ensure those 145 families are actually going to get a home?
Well, Mr. Shoebridge, I understand that as at the 11th of February, there are 145 claims that have been received, and that the potential cost to the iCare Home Building Compensation Fund is estimated at $25 million. So 85 claims have had liability accepted and 26 claims have reached the settlement stage. And I do want to note that that fund is not within my responsibility.
What about those who have paid a deposit but didn't have any building started? How many of those?
I might refer you to the department for that information. If Ms. Mann can...
There are 2,000 customers, the Privium indicated, across Queensland, Victoria, New South Wales that were impacted by the insolvency. You've told me about 145 homes in New South Wales where the building work wasn't completed, where there's insurance claims on foot. What about all those others who have paid a deposit, haven't had any building work started?
Well, Mr. Shoebridge, I can only advise you that Fair Trading has received 109 complaints and inquiries about Privium since the 1st of November last year. Prior to that date, there were no complaints or inquiries to indicate the presence of any issues. And if you would like further information on that, I can refer you to the Deputy Secretary.
Sorry, so just quickly, Minister, you were put on notice in February about Privium last year. They collapsed in November. What did Fair Trading do in those 10 months? So, if you'd like to talk to the Deputy Secretary, I can refer you to her. Well, you're the one who said that that your department was on notice since February. The collapse happened in November. You had 109 complaints. What did Fair Trading do to protect those people who have potentially lost everything between February and November of last year? If you can't answer, let's get somebody from the department who can.
Sorry, I've been advised that Mr. Tansey has further information for you.
Sorry, Mr. Shoebridge, can you repeat the dates you were asking about?
The Minister's dates. The first complaint of 109 came in February last year. The collapse happened in November. What did you do between the receipt of that first of 109 complaints in February and November?
Mr. Shoebridge, can I clarify? The information in front of me was that Fair Trading has received 109 complaints and inquiries about Privium since the 1st of November 2021.
All right.
Just to clarify that piece of information for you.
Well, is that the earliest complaint last year you had? Because you earlier said February. Is that just in error?
No, I meant, sorry, my data set is from the 1st of November 2021 until the 24th of February.
When was the first complaint last year taken to Fair Trading about Privium?
I would have to take that on notice for you.
I think Mr. Tansey may have some actual information.
I would be happy for Mr. Tansey to provide
No,
that
I'm relying on the same information as the Minister. In fact, so in terms of the absolute first date, I would assume that the first complaints actually came in November. Whether or not they're actually older than that, I'd need to seek some further advice.
And between the receipt of the first complaint and the collapse of Privium at the end of November, what did Fair Trading do to protect those hundreds and hundreds of families who had deposits down and building projects partway through? What did Fair Trading do before the collapse of Privium? If the answer is nothing, we can just get to that quickly.
I will refer you to Mr. Tansey.
Yep. Mr. Shoebridge, I don't have a profile of what individual treatment offer advice was provided to, case by case, but where we get complaints from people about the non-performance of builders, we'll take that information. We will provide them advice and assistance about what they should do to secure their own interests. We will reach out to the impacted trader, particularly if we get a sense that there's not a single or an isolated incident, but a snowballing or growing issue, and deal directly with the builder. As I'm sure you know, we can also send out inspectors if there's problems with buildings not proceeding or sites not progressing and being exposed. So we have a range of options of interventions we can provide to consumers.
Mr. Shoebridge, I can advise you that in response to the complaints and inquiries, that I'm advised that Fair Trading provided customers with a letter detailing information about the administration process, resolution options that may be available, and contact details for any assistance sought.
So hundreds of families risk losing their deposits and their life savings, and Fair Trading gave them a letter. Is that your evidence? They got a letter.
My understanding is that that was the initial point of contact to respond to the inquiries that were received, yes.
Minister, are you aware of the concerns raised by just one set of homeowners, Salva Melissa Barbagallo, whose house burnt down in May of 2019? They contracted with Metricon to rebuild it, and despite repeated complaints to Fair Trading about gross inadequacies in the rebuild, and including concerns about fraud, they still haven't got their home completed to date. Are you aware of that?
I understand it's an emerging situation, and as a result, I'm going to refer you to the Deputy Secretary for further information.
Have you received a briefing about just this appalling set of circumstances that Salva and Melissa have found themselves facing? Have you received a briefing on it?
I am broadly aware of the situation, but for more specific information, given the emerging nature of the complaint, Ms. Mann would be best placed to handle that.
Well, were you aware?
Thank you, Minister.
Well, I'll come to you in a second, Ms. Mann. I will come to you in a second. I will come to you in a second. Minister, were you aware that Metricon went so far as to provide doctored fraudulent images to the Barbagallos to try and persuade them that the building works were actually compliant? Were you aware that they'd gone that far? A major builder in New South Wales had actually provided fraudulent document images to these poor homeowners. Were you aware of that?
So, Mr. Shoebridge, I've indicated that I'm broadly aware of the situation.
Were you aware of the fraud?
For the specifics, like what you're raising now, that's why I would prefer that you went to Ms. Mann, who is better equipped to answer that question for you.
You're the minister,
Chair,
right? You're the person responsible.
Chair,
I will go to Ms. Mann, but I'm asking were you aware of the fraud?
I'm going to call a point of order. The Minister has indicated on a number of occasions during this questioning that Ms. Mann is in best position to answer these questions. She's tried to refer Mr. Shoebridge to Ms. Mann. I'd ask that you allow the Minister to refer Mr. Shoebridge to Ms. Mann so that maybe he can get some answers and elucidations to the questions he's asking.
Well, Chair, very briefly, because it's chewing up my time, the Minister said she had a briefing. I'm trying to understand the extent of the briefing and what the Minister knew before we go to Ms. Mann.
To correct the record, I did not say I'd had a briefing. I said I was broadly aware of the situation. And if we're going to get really technical with that language, then we can start saying that you haven't made a representation on the issue either. So...
All right. So
I'll give you this document.
Let me just quickly rule on the point of order as the document is coming up. Yes, the Minister is free to refer answers to her public servants that are assisting her today, but the member is also entitled to direct the question to the Minister in terms of what she knew. She said she was broadly aware of the situation, and I believe Mr. Shoebridge is testing how broad that awareness is or how narrow that awareness is. So I'll throw back to Mr. Shoebridge.
Minister, you say my office hasn't made a representation. I've just handed you the correspondence of the 21st of January 2022.
Which isn't addressed
that went
to
to
me.
the Minister for Police, the Commissioner for Police, the Minister for Homes and the New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner. The New
not
South
to
Wales
me.
Fair... Minister,
Apologies.
you said...
I apologise,
Do you want to
Mr.
withdraw
Shoebridge.
that I haven't made a representation? I'm okay for you to accept you're wrong.
Oh, no, I'm suggesting that you haven't made a representation to me. I acknowledge that you've made a representation to other ministers.
Did you receive any information after the 21st of January about the appalling situation that Salva and Melissa Barbagallo have found themselves in?
I apologise, I just missed that question. Could you repeat?
Did you receive your briefing, chat, information, I don't know how to describe it, about the appalling situation that Salva and Melissa Barbagallo have found themselves in after the 21st of January?
Yes.
And was it from the Fair Trading Commissioner?
Yes.
Did the Fair Trading Commissioner tell you that they were investigating the potential fraud by Metricon?
So the Fair Trading Commissioner had a discussion with me regarding this matter. As to the specifics of the matter, they were not canvassed at that point in time.
Ms Mann, I understand that there is some investigation now after 2 earlier complaints by the Barbagallos went to Fair Trading and got nowhere, that there's finally an investigation into the potential fraud and the appalling behaviour of Metricon. What is Fair Trading now doing?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Shoebridge. And you were right, I'm relatively new to this portfolio. And so what I have done in response to the concerns that you have raised with me is, as you know, I called an urgent briefing with the team responsible. I am personally very concerned about what Salva and Melissa Barbagallo are going through. I have had confirmation from my team that we are currently investigating those allegations of fraud and unconscionable conduct by Metricon, as you have alluded to, and that investigation is well advanced. And then, in answer to your question about the briefing to the Minister, I have raised it very briefly with her late last week. I have now arranged a meeting with the Barbagallos for Monday, in which I will be able to hear their story directly from them. And after I've had that briefing from the Barbagallos, I will absolutely be fully briefing Minister Petinos.
Minister, the Barbagallos made complaint after complaint to Fair Trading. They were being treated with gross disrespect, being refused even access to their home by Metricon, then given fraudulent documents from Metricon, and it took a complaint from my office before Fair Trading took their complaints seriously. What is going so wrong in building regulation in New South Wales that for homeowners like Salva and Melissa, it takes the intervention of an MP just to get Fair Trading to do their job? What's so wrong in the department?
Look, I refute the proposition and the claim that you're making about my department. There are very hard-working men and women who work in the agency.
That's to the Barbagallos.
Who do their best to look after the people of New South Wales. And the fact pattern, can I say, the fact pattern that you've raised today, Mr. Shoebridge, is very concerning. I do understand your concern for the Barbagallo family, and based on the fact pattern that you've raised today, I would share that concern. That being said, you yourself, Mr. Shoebridge, made the decision to advocate for these people. And
I had to call the police in because of fraud, because Fair Trading was doing it. I had to call in the police.
But you're complaining about my agency, and you didn't feel it appropriate to write your letter to me. I'm not in one of 4 people that you felt the need to write to.
Minister, I have been observing the answers today.
Please don't come in here and criticise the men and women who work really
Minister,
hard.
Order.
The correspondence went to the New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner.
Thank you.
The correspondence went to the New South Wales Fair Trading Commissioner.
Mr. Shoebridge.
And if you...
Mr. Shoebridge.
But you're now complaining about the agency.
Mr. Shoebridge and Miss Minister. I was very indulgent in letting that banter go on back and forward beyond the time. Possibly too indulgent. I will now pass to the opposition. I think Mr. Diadam.
Thank you, Chair. Still morning.